Welcome to Massive Beers. My name's Matt. We do the beer stuff here. New brewery time. Look at all this pomp. I love it. And we're gonna butcher so many words on this one, so buckle up. If you're a pronunciation snob, then you're in for an aneurysm. We have here Brouwerij, de Dochter van de Korenaar. This is their Le Ensemble de Montalcino. It's a barley wine style ale aged in Brunello barrels. Didn't know what that was until I read a little bit more. Wine barrels, red wine barrels. Yeah, we'll dive into the rest of these words in a bit. I've never heard of this brewery before. It's a Belgian brewery. Never heard of them before. I go into the shop that does like weird imports, with all kinds of cool imports, and I'm not gonna lie to you. I bought two beers from them. One was a peat smoke, peat. It was a Islay Scotch barreled Belgian dark, but actually had more peat shoved into the barrel. We'll review that and post these both together. This is the first one we're diving into, and both of them just look real pretty. You know, from the black with the gold to this little tab. There's a wax seal thing going on. This shape of the bottle, old school kind of Thomas Hardy Ale, or what's that, St. Petersburg brewery or something like that. Just everything about it caught my eye. And then once I read, red wine barrel barley wine, I was like, you're sold. And I'm like, oh shit, I don't see a price. I really don't want to pay an arm and a leg, but I'm like, let me take these two, or I should have went back and got more. Let's put it that way. I'm kind of spoiling this for you. And I was like, let me go up. So I'm guessing if this is $15, I might get it. And the other one, I was like, maybe if it's like 11, I might get it. Yeah, this is like $6 or $7. The other one is like $5. I was like, what's going on right now? So here we are. So I'm gonna correct this up. I'm gonna dive into it, pop it off, and see what we got. So red wine barrel aged barley wine. We're assuming English style barley wine. It's a Belgian brewery, but nice little pop on there. And we'll give this a pour. Ooh, gushing out. Barley wine. Give it an aggressive pour here. Are we okay? I don't know. That head dissipating really quick makes me think it might have went a little bit sideways, but we'll reserve judgment. Looks like cola right now. So what else we have on here? We have a lot number. This is from 2024. It says best before 6/2025, so you assume it was bottled in June. Wow, it's July, so this is less than a month old. Product of Belgium. Imported by Pointer Imports, Stockerdown. So the place where I got from actually imports it. Ingredients: water, hops, barley malt, wheat malt, and yeast. They're in Barl Hertog, Belgium. Let's see what a little note here it has to offer. Come on. It says here, the Dochter van Korenaar is a young and small independent family brewery. Our beers are marketed and brewed and bottled in our home brewery. The brewery is responsible for some of the most special beers in Belgium and has already won several major beer awards in its short existence. Ensemble, unique art of brewing, an incredible amount of malt and fermentation with beer, wine yeast. Okay, here are some of the difficulties that had to be overcome. This is Google translated. 13% alcohol by volume. Is a port-like softness combined with a solid hop bite. Oh, so it's not. I don't think it's an English barley wine. Guarantees a sensational taste on multiple levels. This from the label to your wax little seal to this thing, the little strings. You sold me. But the beer's got to be good. As far as the beer goes, I mean, it looks the part of a deep reddish kind of barley wine. It has a carbonation to it, but that gushing of the beer. And with it having a cold lake head leads me to believe it might be a little tart sour. It might be even turned, but we're going to reserve that for, a nose and a taste. So we're just going to dive in a nose and see what's what. Yeah, I mean, it has this big, huge red, almost Flanders ready kind of thing going on. Now listen, wine yeast, port barrel, red wine barrel, sorry. You're going to get those notes, so it could just be that at play. But you get these rich red notes. Cherries, Venice red wine, but there's a sweetness to it. It makes you know it's a barley wine. It definitely has kind of Belgian barley wine kind of vibes to it. I don't get a precursor to a big bittering on the nose, and it's very, very fresh. Like I said, it's only a month out of from being bottled for assuming there's a year on this. Actually, there's a date code on here. There's a lot number. 0016-2024. So, at worst, it is 6 months old. It smells nice. It smells like a port-based wine barrel aged Belgian Euro kind of barley wine. Let's just dive in. Cheers, y'all. That's tasty. That's very, very tasty. It's really good. It's not what I expected. It's not what I expected. You know, when I think about it, barley wines, barrel-aged wine from Europe, I'm thinking something a little bit more richer, a little bit more decadent. This comes off, again, very much porty. You definitely get a bittering on this. So yeah, I think it's like it's not an Americanized style barley wine. It's an English style barley wine with a more aggressive hop characteristic to it. And then when you throw it in with that wine yeast, you can definitely, that's where I think I confused think of champagne. Think about it that way. That champagne head, that champagne carbonation, it's just like there and it drops away. It's not necessarily something that sticks around, and I think that's what was used here, and I think that's why it had that kind of head to it, and I think it has that subtle little Bruxy kind of tardiness to it, that little Bruxicillus kind of little tart, little acidic kind of thing that you tend to get on those kind of wine yeasty kind of beverages. Like I spilled a little bit here. Everything's icky sticky, so it definitely has a rich sugar content to it. But I think when you combine it with that red wine barrel, and the yeast, that's what tempers a lot of sweetness here. It adds as almost a bittering component, even though there is a decent hops here. That dryness, that full attenuation of the beer that you tend to get a little bit more easily with those kind of that wine components, and then throw that wine barrel on there where it adds that little bit of dryness, that extra bit of dryness to the beer. It dries this out. So you get that pop of sweet in the beginning, just kind of dries out in the middle, and just bone dries at the end. You're still drinking a barley wine. You know that through and through. It almost comes off as like again, I keep saying like a Flanders red, like a cherry Flanders red. Think of like if you had a cherry, a classic cherry, Rodenbach, something cherry Flanders red, but they try to do a barley wine. Like, that's the kind of vibe I'm getting off this, and I'm not hating that at all. Very much a food beer for me. Give me pork, give me meats, give me all the stuff that is rich and bold with this sucker, and I think it sings even better than it does. I'm not the big culinary guy. I'm not going to sit here and talk about food pairing and beer, but man, the way this functions, the way it gives you that pop of sweetness, dries out, has those rich red fruits, I think that would be a magical combination. And honestly, not what I expected. Not even, I'll go a step further, not what I wanted. I kind of wanted a rich barley wine right now, and I just wanted something a bit decadent. And while this is decadent, it's more on the adulty kind of decadent side of things. But I'm not hating on it. I dig it. I think it's really tasty. I think it's really well done. And I think it's a really cool take on a barley wine. And honestly, the price point you're talking about, something like this, wine yeast, big 13% beer, drinks relatively easy, giving you that cool kind of juxtaposition of that sweetness with that dryness and those rich red fruits. You're talking about something that came out at $7. It was what, $6-7? It was never going to hate the risk I was going to take on it at that price point, and I'll buy more of these. This is something I would totally 100% bring to a party and be like, let's drink this. I mean, just looking at it, people are like, ooh, what's this thing? But the grand scheme of things, it's a tasty beverage nonetheless. Let's put it this way. Is it one of the better barley wines I've had as of late? Yeah. Mount Rushmore status? No. There's what I like in barley wine, aged English barley wine, barrel-aged barley wine. There's ones that have done me better than this. This is towards the top, though. If we shift this to, is one of the more interesting, one of the more fun beers that I've had as of late, then we're talking probably Mount Rushmore status because of what it's doing. It's doing such cool and unique things that I think it's just such a fun experience. And I think if you see this, because it's got to be a newer import, it's got to be something that hasn't been in the States all that long. If you see this and you can get it for that cheap price point, and you do dig that kind of food pairing thing, especially, you know, like I said, if you're looking for a nice kind of lamb/meat dish kind of combination, gamey, the gamey, this is going to complement that perfectly. But if you're just a beer lover, especially old school beer lover, if you dig on old school flavors but new school twists, because that's what you have going on here, you'll dig this. By new school twists, I mean very old school twists, winey twists. Basically, if you love red wine, you love barley wine, you win. So there you go. Hopefully you enjoyed the review. Let's talk about it. One of the better ones, like I said, Mount Rushmore said us no unless we put it in a specific category. Value, availability, off the shelf, infinitely cheap, and leave you with, if you like what we like this beer, I already talked about. Yeah. The Kosher van de Krona Brewery. Have you been to the brewery? Have you had their beers? Have you had this beer? All that fun stuff. Let's put it down there. So hopefully you enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying a little bit of fun beer right now. Hope to see you next time. Cheers, y'all.